Hey Joe, it's Folks here. What we have here today is a niche-based print-on-demand t-shirt store that we're going to be taking a look at. And I honestly think that this store owner is off to a great start. I do think there are some things that I would improve before I got into this if this was my store. And as you guys know, as I scroll through this, you guys can check everything out. We're going to break it all down in this video. As you know, here on this YouTube channel, all we do is review print-on-demand stores. I want to share with you my thoughts. I started my first store in 2016, and I think by doing this, hopefully you will be able to learn some things and apply them to your store. If you want to get your store reviewed, make sure to check out my free Shopify course. It's linked down in the description below. I've also got a print-on-demand Facebook group. Right now, there's over 100,000 members inside of it. So, like I said, if you want to get your store reviewed, you can share it there. Now, the name of this store here is called ironrailco.com, and it is a niche-based store for people that like railroads, people who are rail fans, and the families who grew up around the rails. And like I said, there are a couple of things that I like. The first thing is they have actually niched down. This is a store where all they're doing is creating designs for people that basically like trains. You're never going to see a football design on this store or a baking design or anything else besides trains. This is a great approach to print on demand because this store owner is going to be able to basically grow this brand and get fans, people that love trains and they love their brand. They're going to follow them on social media, and hopefully he'll be able to market to them for a long time. This is also a great option for many print on demand store owners to try if they are someone that really likes a niche. Now, in looking at this, it does seem like the person who created this store is actually interested in the niche. If we scroll down, they do have an about section over here. It says built for people who live the hobby, right? Basically, they're trying to build this for people that love trains. It's very likely that the person running this store also likes trains, which is a great way for them to connect with their audience. Now, they also on their homepage, I think, have done a good job with this section here. They have a section where they're kind of breaking down what the product is all about. I do have some tips for them to improve this section, which we'll jump into in a moment, but sometimes beginners don't include anything about the product on their store. Maybe they have like one line inside of their product description or something like that, but having a section on your homepage where you talk about the product, you share some features of it is definitely a good thing. The next thing I like is back to this section here. I think they did a good job with this image here. Now, obviously, because I have created images like this myself, I can tell that this is an AI image, mainly because of the text on the actual train here. You can see that the AI that they used didn't really do a great job on that. This is still something I like though, because it shows that the store owner is actually trying to create some niche-based images for the store. This is a great way to make your store feel credible. Obviously though, you're going to want to double check AI and make sure you don't have any issues with any text inside of any of your images. And before I jump into the things that I don't like about this store and the things that I think this store owner needs to improve if they want to have any chance at making a lot of print-on-demand sales, I just want to remind you that here on this channel, this is all that I do. I review print-on-demand stores. I do have another print-on-demand YouTube channel where I make a lot of strategy videos. I'll put a link to that down in the description of this video if you wanted to check that out. And if you wanted to get your store reviewed, you could even leave a comment on this video with your store URL. And like I said, what I'm trying to do here is share with you the things that I would do if the stores that I'm reviewing were mine, in the hopes that it will help that store owner and also help you to improve your store. Now, things that I like, we just went through, and there really wasn't many, okay? This store to me, like I said, I think they've done a good job with choosing a niche. They've done a good job at including some things about the about section, also some things about the product. The store though, that's really it in terms of things that I like. It does feel like this store is unfinished, okay? It does feel a little bit blank. It kind of feels like they just sort of started building and they didn't really know exactly what they were doing. The first thing is right up at the top, there is no logo on this store. It just says Iron Rail Co. in some very generic text. I think that could definitely be improved. If we scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll also see that the store just sort of ends, all right? Down here in the footer, there's nothing there. Typically, you're going to want to have a menu inside of the footer. Typically, you might want to even have an image down there, or even a section where you share something about the brand, some sort of a headline or something like that. I would also heavily critique their homepage. I want to sort of start from the top here and share with you exactly how I go about constructing a homepage. The first thing is this banner. It's a great image. I think the text is great as well, but there's no button, right? It's just basically an image. Typically, a banner is going to have a button on it that someone can click, and it will take them to go look at specific products on the store. The next thing is, after you get by this banner, you are met with just a massive wall of products. They basically just don't stop. You are basically scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Right here, you get a little bit of information about the store. Right here, we have more products. Right here, we get a little bit of information about the store. And then we see more products followed by frequently asked questions, and then the store just ends. I say all of the time inside of my store review videos that one of the main things you want to try to do on your homepage is treat it like a brochure. This here is an example of what I am talking about. Now, obviously, everything here is blank. You can just basically see the sections that I would recommend using. You can see at the top we have a banner. There are some buttons on it. Right below that, there's a section for you to talk about your brand. There's also a button that someone could click. With that button, you could have them go to some sort of an About Us page or something like that. Below that, there's 4 products. Basically, create some sort of a bestseller or new release collection and display that here. That's it for products. You don't need to have row after row after row of products, because if you continue to scroll, what we have here is a slideshow, and this is where you will create more collections. You'll have an image representing each collection and a button for someone to go to that collection page and actually view the rest of the designs in that collection. This is going to condense your homepage a lot more and cause it to be a lot less overwhelming for people that are not having to scroll through an endless amount of products on the homepage. Many times beginners feel like they need to do this. They feel like they need to show almost every single design that they offer. You don't need to do that. The homepage should truly feel like a brochure where you share a little bit about the store. Up here, you also share a couple of the products. You're going to give them the ability to go look at more products through these collection images or even through the menu on the store. And then from there, you don't show any more products. If you see, we continue to scroll. I recommend using 2 multi-column sections like this. Inside of one of them, what you could do is you could have some product images. And then in the text section, you could talk about 3 features about the product. If we go back again here to Iron Rail Co., you can see that they did have some details here. Personally, what I would do is break it up into 3 sections here. I would talk about 3 specific things about the product, and I'd have some great mock-ups inside of this section to really break it down and showcase the product. Now, the second multi-column section here, what I would do is I would talk about the brand. I would talk about great customer service. I would mention that we have fast shipping, and I'd also mention maybe something that we guarantee the quality of all of our products. And then for the actual images, I might just use some icons instead of the product images like we were in a section like this here. Lastly, we're going to finish up the homepage with a section like this, basically an image with text section. It can feel very much like this section here. Now, the difference is I would add a button. That button would take you to some sort of an Our Story or About Us page, kind of like this person has created here up inside of their main menu. Talk about that in a moment. You can also see on here that the footer should have some stuff in it. There's a space for an image, there's a space for some headline information, and also some links. The store just doesn't end. And once you go through with a layout like this and add colors to everything, you're going to likely have a really sharp looking homepage. Another benefit of doing all of that as well is that you're actually going to have some good content on the homepage. This is a very overwhelming homepage because really all it is product photos. As you continue to scroll through, all of the photos basically look exactly the same. We have very similar mock-ups on each one with very similar backgrounds. And so there's nothing here that is actually standing out to us as we scroll. Another inconsistency that I thought about was the product titles on the store. You can see that there's a lot of different things that they do. Some of them are very long, some of them are a lot shorter. If we continue to scroll through, for example, this one here just says train dad. bad. However, if we scroll up, this one here has a lot more information in it. When you're doing your titles, what I would say is something like this is an appropriate length. Built the nation 1776 to 2026. That is typically how I am doing product titles, especially on your own Shopify store. You don't need to do any sort of keyword stuffing like if you were selling on Amazon or on Etsy. You just want to basically have a nice and simple title inside of your store. The next thing I would say is I don't love the green. The green to me sort of seems like a random choice. I feel like this reminds me of an e-commerce store from like 2017 or something like that. I think they could have done a better job with colors on the store, and they could have added them in more places besides just these buttons. Now, earlier I mentioned mock-ups. I think the mock-ups that they have on this store could be improved greatly. They basically all look exactly the same, and I don't think that it suits the store well. I think that they could have done a better job with having some unique mock-ups in here. I also think they're probably offering too many different colors. If this was my store, I might try to offer just 4 colors of the shirt. That way I don't have to have as many images, and I could lose some of that redundancy that we're feeling as we click through all of the different colors. Now, the next thing I would have done is around the product choices. This store has about 30 designs on it, and they are all t-shirts. Now, I'm not saying they can't have shirts, but personally, what I would try to do if this was my store is model it after what this person is doing with their store. This is a store for people that like to ride mountain bikes, and you can see that they've gone heavily into apparel, but they are really focused on all over print apparel. They have lots of all over print t-shirts like this. They also have a lot of all over print hoodies like this one over here. You can see if we continue to scroll through, using those all over print templates allows this store owner to create designs that are arguably a lot better than just a typical t-shirt. And I would say that the store owner for this train store could likely benefit from similar products like that. I'm talking again about using all over print shirts and all over print hoodies. Not only is that going to allow them to create much better designs, but they're likely going to also be able to make more profits because these products can be sold for a higher dollar amount. Take a look at this hoodie here. It's a very simple hoodie. It is all over print though. You can tell because of the inside of the hood as well as the cuffs on the sleeves and the waistband, but it is a really simple and cool design, and that is one of the major things that I would recommend to this store owner here. Ultimately, like I said at the beginning of the video, I do think they are doing a good job. I do think that they are on the right track. I would really encourage them to finish the store. I would encourage them to maybe add some more content to the about page here rather than just having text only. Maybe some sort of image on here could be good as well. Ultimately though, like I said, I think this store is in a good spot and they have a niche. It's a good niche, and I think if they make some of these changes, they will be able to make some sales. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And like I said, if you want to get your store featured, make sure to check out my print on demand Facebook group. There's a link in the description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.